I am the somewhat capable host, Tyler Jones, here with you on Seattle Seahawks today as we are talking blockbuster trade ideas. I was telling Smitty just a moment ago, the question that I've gotten the most from the 12s over the last several weeks, should the Seahawks trade down? And the consistent answer that I have given you all is it all depends on who's on the board. I'm not opposed to trading down at all, but there are certain players that if they're still available, you have to pick and you can't trade down. What we're going to look at for that crowd that wants to trade down, I'm going to go step by step of each scenario and some potential trades Seattle could make and teams that might be interested in moving up. Before we do, folks, I got a challenge for the 12s out there. I want to reach 52,000 subscribers before the NFL draft. We're just over 600 subs away from reaching that next milestone. The latest happenings on your favorite team. We'll get you ready for the draft like no one else does here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free. Join the family, youtube.com/Seahawks TV, and we'll get started with today's show. The Seahawks draft picks. Here's where things stand right now. They pick at 16, 81, 102, and 118. And they have another set of picks after that, of course, that includes 2 sixth-round picks and a 7th-round pick. So the Seahawks potentially could be looking for some more trade capital. The folks at The Athletic went through these scenarios, and what we've done here is we've kind of taken their idea and gone a little step further, a little more details with this. So let's begin with scenario number 1, marginal movement. Here's what we're talking about. The Seahawks move down just a few spots and gain Day 2 and Day 3 draft capital from one of two teams. There's two teams specifically picking close to them that could be looking to move up. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the LA Rams. Let's start off with the Steelers situation here. If the Seahawks were to trade down with the Steelers, they would go from 16 to 20. And I think you're looking at adding a 3rd-round pick at 98 and a 6th-round pick at 178. So you're going down 4 spots, and you're picking up a Day 2 and a Day 3 pick. Not bad for only going down 4 spots. Now, here's another idea with the LA Rams. Now, granted, intra-division trades are rare, but the rules kind of go out the window when it comes to draft trades. You could trade with the Rams and go from 16 to 19, get a 3rd and a 5th, and give up a 6th-round pick. So, but basically like a pick swap of sorts, if you will, giving up your 6th and getting the 5th-round pick there from the LA Rams. And here's the thing. Let's just say the Seahawks don't pick at 16 if they were to execute one of these two trades. There's still a pretty good chance at 19 and maybe even at 20 that Troy Fautanu is still on the board. And we've talked about this a lot over the last few weeks, that the Seahawks' most likely pick, according to most mock drafts, is to take Fautanu at 16. So potentially you could trade down, add some more picks down the road, and still get the player you want. Sounds like a win-win. So let's ask you, should the Seahawks trade down from number 16? Why for yes and for no? Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it is tournament season, the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. You can now win up to 10 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with the NBA, NHL, golf entries, and more today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. The Masters going on this weekend. Here's what I got my entry for Thursday's action. I got Phil Mickelson to have less than 2.5 birdies. And I got Victor Hovland, the Oklahoma State Cowboy, to have more than 3.5 birdies. Let's say I put $20 down on this and it hits, or make it $60 on Prize Picks. Play along with me, whether it's golf, basketball, baseball, NASCAR, soccer, and more. PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. So here's scenario number 2 for the Seahawks. Significant slide back, not just 3 or 4 spots, but towards the end of the first round. And here's what we're looking at. The Buffalo Bills, after losing Stephon Diggs, trading him for a second-round pick, they are in the market to find another receiver. And with where they're picking, if there's a run on receivers, the Bills might have to move up to potentially go get that guy. So here's an idea. Let's have the Seahawks trade that number 16 overall pick, okay, and then find a way to move down to 28. And here's what we're looking at going. Of trading down 12 spots, we can pick up 2 fourth-round picks and a 6th-round pick potentially to get this deal done. And so with that, you're saying, okay, who's still left? Who could I potentially get if I move down 12 spots? How much does the board change? And is that draft capital enough? Well, a lot of people are saying that Jackson Powers Johnson, the center from Oregon, who we've talked about previously for Seattle, with using their pick at 16, will still be available when the Seahawks would be picking at 28 in this case. And you look at Jackson Powers Johnson, this is somebody that could start day one right away at the center position. And I know some of you have been saying, why would you need Jackson Powers Johnson if you have Olu? Well, Olu didn't show enough for me to feel comfortable with him starting week 1 for the Seattle Seahawks. Jackson Powers Johnson is ready to go from the jump and would be a very good pick for Seattle. And still available at 28, and I get some day 3 picks out of it. Now you have me intrigued. We'll go through one more scenario here in just a second, but let's ask you, who should the Seahawks select with their first-round pick? Give me a name that comes to mind that you would like to see the Seahawks draft in the comment section below. We are your one-stop shop for Seattle Seahawks coverage like no one else does. We're talking draft news, rumors, trades, free agency, and more. We're bringing you daily coverage in the lead-up to the draft. We're going to be live for the NFL draft as well. Never miss a moment. The latest happenings in your favorite team are covered here on Seattle Seahawks Today. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Subscribe now, lock us in, and join us for our live coverage of the draft here in a couple of weeks. So the final scenario for the Seahawks is getting out of the first round entirely. And think about this. What we've seen, traditionally speaking, when it comes to the Seahawks in the draft, when they've been in kind of the middle of the draft, they haven't done a great job with their first-round pick. And we've seen years previously where John Schneider traded down, so I don't think it's impossible that they could trade down entirely. Here's one idea of moving with the Commanders. Let's say the Commanders potentially have a player that they don't want to miss on at the end of the first round. Maybe they don't go quarterback at 2, which would be highly unlikely, but for whatever reason, if there's a quarterback they want to get at 16 or another playmaker, whatever it is, the Seahawks go from 16 to 36, and then they pick up a 3rd-round pick as well at 100 and a 5th-round pick at 152. So a 3-for-1 deal, and you're going down 20 spots as far as that goes. So who could potentially be left when the Seahawks, if they were to pick at 36? One name specifically that comes to mind is T'Vondre Sweat, who most folks have going in the 2nd round. That would fill a big need at the defensive tackle spot for the Seattle Seahawks, a guy that would be in the rotation immediately and would be a natural fit, and you'd get 2 more players out of it as well. So now that we've showed you the scenarios that could play out, will the Seahawks make a trade during this draft? What do you guys think? Are they going to? Y for yes, N for no. Way in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. We have plenty of more draft coverage ahead in the coming weeks and days, so make sure to subscribe, lock us in, and never miss a moment. Our continuing draft coverage. We're going to be live on draft night. We'll see you then.